You know, sometimes the absolute best way to understand a really complex set of beliefs is to just go straight to the source. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to deconstruct one single, really powerful prayer to unpack the huge ideas it holds about family, spiritual lineage, and yet, even the entire course of human history. So, let's dive in. Right out of the gate, the prayer hits you with this. We have now heard about something very awesome. I mean, talk about an intriguing opening. It immediately tells you that we're about to get into some kind of profound revelation, what the prayer itself calls a heavenly secret. It really sets the stage for something big. And that, right there, is the big question, isn't it? What is this awesome thing? What is this secret that's supposed to change everything? Well, let's break this prayer down, piece by piece, and see if we can figure it out. Okay, so the first thing you notice is that the prayer doesn't start with the solution. It starts with the problem. It lays out this fundamental belief that there was once a divine blueprint for all of humanity, this idea of an original family, and that all of history has just been this long, painful journey to try and get back to that. And here's the crucial thing. This isn't just some vague wish. The prayer is saying that this ideal family is a very specific model that their Heavenly Father has been trying to restore for, well, forever. Followers believe they've finally been shown what that blueprint is, and now it's up to them to build it with everything they've got. All right, now we get to the absolute heart of that awesome secret we heard about. The prayer introduces this core concept, and pretty much everything else revolves around it. It's the idea of changing one's blood lineage. So when you see blood lineage, you might be thinking about genetics or your family tree, right? But that's not what this is about. In this context, it's a spiritual inheritance. The goal is to get what they call a purified blood lineage, which is what they believe allows a person to connect directly to God's eternal love. And they make it really clear this is not some simple or easy process. This quote, I think, just perfectly captures the weight of history that followers feel. The path back, this course of restoration, is described as difficult, even fearful. It really drives home just how important and how monumental they believe this change truly is. So you have to ask, right? If this restoration is so incredibly difficult, how is it even possible? Well, the prayer introduces these very specific central figures who are the agents for this whole transformation. They're referred to as the true parents. So the role of these true parents is pretty huge. They're seen as the source of the grace and blessings you need for this change. They're the ones who teach this wonderful heavenly secret about the blood lineage. And through them, followers believe they can tap into a totally new reality, something people on the outside can't even begin to imagine. Okay, so we have all these big theological ideas, but how does it actually play out in real life? This is where the prayer shifts from the what to the how, and it all boils down to a very practical mission for the core unit of the family, the husband and wife. And this is where it gets super practical. The prayer outlines a clear set of duties. It's about so much more than just romantic love. They have to protect each other, become best friends, and, this is key, maintain a shared vertical connection to God. See, their relationship isn't just horizontal between each other. It has to point upward. And that unity is what they believe gets them through what the prayer calls the satanic world of evil. And this leads to a point that I find really fascinating, because it just completely challenges how most of us think about marriage. The prayer is super explicit. What your spouse looks like, it's not important. In a world that's so focused on appearance, that is a pretty radical idea. It suggests the real foundation of a relationship is somewhere else entirely. And this quote right here tells you exactly why. The ultimate measure of a relationship isn't physical chemistry, it's spiritual alignment. The real question isn't do we look good together, but how strong is our shared connection to God? That vertical connection is everything. So, what's all this for? A purified lineage, the guidance of true parents, a totally new model for marriage? What is the end game? Well, the final section of the prayer spells out the ultimate world-changing goal. And wow, look at this. The stakes could not be higher. The whole mission is to completely transform the human experience, to literally go from a history defined by tragedy and suffering to a future filled with original love, glory, and joy. A future they call the heavenly kingdom. And it's not just about changing your own life. The idea is that by changing their lineage and building these ideal families, followers actually become true ancestors. They're pioneers, laying down a new foundation so that all future generations get to inherit a joyful world, not a tragic one. So in the end, that leaves us with this one final, massive question to think about. The entire prayer is built on this premise that if you can change a spiritual inheritance, starting at the level of a single family, you can fundamentally change the entire course of human history. It's a huge, world-changing idea, all packed into the words of this one prayer.